Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at a brand new piece of prepping gear that I would recommend to, say, a brand new prepper who's never used a ferro rod. This is the Holtzman's Gorilla Survival ferro rod set. Now you may wonder why I would recommend this to a brand new prepper who's never used a ferro rod. Mainly because in my experience with Holtzman's Gorilla Survival gear, their ferro rods have been insane. Just absolutely ridiculous. If you can't start a fire with them, you're going to have a hard time starting a fire with anything. The ones that come in the knives, and I have my silverback over here, they just throw these enormous gobs of sparks, and it's just unbelievable how well they work. Probably better than any ones that I've tried before other than Nathan's. Nathan's work kind of similar, you know. So really impressed with them so far. This is brand new. We have not used it yet. I did use the striker to make sure it was sharp enough, and it is. Works really, really well so far. So, as a brand new prepper, you're not going to have a struggle learning how to do ferro rods as long as you use the same techniques and watch and learn using this, because it throws really good sparks. It actually really works well. Well, another thing I like about it, the fact, is the handle. Now, I mean, this is a nice presentation case and all, and, you know, I know we kind of don't always focus on the aesthetics of things, but I think it looks really nice. But that handle makes this so easy to use. You're just going to stick that in your hand like that, strike down, you know, right there, strike down on it, and look how that fits your hand. I mean, it's just like it's made for your hand. So I have fairly large hands, and as you can tell, it fits right in there perfectly. So having that grip, instead of just holding the end of a rod like this and striking, and having that big long grip there is really, really nice. Also, this is a big rod. Now, they say if you use this correctly, you can get 12,000 fires out of it. So anytime you need a fire, you can do that. And that's a pretty cool cool proclamation there. Let's hope it's true. I would think so. I mean, I have other ferro rods that I haven't even begun to put a dent in yet. So I would think that would work really, really well. So it comes with the ferro rod, of course, and the handle. You get this paracord. Now, they do say that this paracord has fishing line and a fire rope in it. I'm not sure about that. I don't want to tear it apart to do that, but they say it has it in there. I'm going to research that further, and if I find out it isn't true, the next time I use this, I'll tell you. But they say that's in there, so that's kind of cool. It does have another ferro rod on it, as a matter of fact. That little bar there, so that's kind of cool too, to have all this together. And there are instructions in the box here on how to use it. How to use the scraper, how to use the, how to put this through here to use the other ferro rod. So it's pretty cool that you got all that info. You got the scraper right here, and this scraper definitely is sharp enough. One of the earlier, the silverback actually, when I got it, the edges were kind of rounded off, and I'm like, must have just missed, you know, stamping that day or whatever. So I just took a file and flattened them out, and they were perfect. But this thing's ready to go. This thing is nice and sharp. I actually tried it on a different ferro rod because I wanted to use this first on video, and it definitely works very, very well. So that's the kit. Okay, let's get the box out of the way. That's the kit. The ferro rod is 8 inches long. This piece here, the handle, is 3.5 inches. So you got a good bit of real estate there to get a nice spark off. Now, of course, the first time you're going to use this, you're going to have to scrape off the coating. I have heard stories that this coating is because of postal regulations. I've heard stories that keep it from corroding. But you're going to want to scrape that off first without getting a spark. You just want to scrape it off, and then you'll be able to get some sparks later on. That's the first thing you want to do when you get a new ferro rod. Now, I'm not really doing too much damage on it yet. You see the black on the thing there, but we'll scrape that off really well. So what I want to do is test it with some common tinders that I use. I have a bunch of different tinders that I love. As you guys know, I do love my dryer lint. That stuff seems to work very, very well. But I have some from Black and White Fire Starter. I have some fatwood. I have the good old cotton balls and petroleum jelly, and we're going to try them all out. So let me move this out of the way, and we'll start our test. All right, so I've done some scraping. You can see there. You just take the black off. And again, I'm doing this for people who may have never used a ferro rod. I understand a lot of you guys know this already, so it's no big deal. The first thing we're going to try is some fatwood. Now, fatwood, for those of you, again, that don't know, and this is store-bought fatwood. This isn't natural, found in the wild fatwood. But you can buy this as fire starter for fireplaces in Walmart's or Kroger's or any of the other grocery stores where they have all their charcoal and stuff like that. Basically, this is wood that's been impregnated with pine resin, you know, from a pine tree. And pine resin is, of course, very flammable. So this stuff works very, very well to start a fire. And not only that, but it smells really good, too. So let's start this out and see if we can get a fire going with it. Move it up a little bit so you can see it up close. All right. Here we go. And again, this I'm just going to stick in there, and I'm just going to strike. There you go. That was fairly simple. Now this is going to smell really good in here. Basically how I got all those shavings off it is I used the back of a knife. I actually used the Holtzman's Gorilla Survival Silverback knife that I put a nice 90-degree spine on. I did that with a file and a Dremel tool as well when I got it. I did it with the Dremel tool first and the file to make it nice and even and neat. So you see how easily it started the fat wood up, and you see how flammable fat wood is. So let's move on to the next thing. All right, in a second we're going to do the next one. I just wanted to show you, I mentioned it before. That's the back of the Holtzman's Gorilla Survival knife. And all I did was literally run a sanding disc from a Dremel over this until I got nice sharp edges on each side. I'm going to show you how well this works once you do that. So obviously it works very, very well once you do that. So you see, that's no problem at all to get it done. It's not that it's horrible, it's just a little bit rounded on the top. So if you get a couple of little edges on there, you'll be good to go. So let's move on to the next thing, and that is my good old cotton balls with petroleum jelly here. If I cannot get the petroleum jelly stuck on my hand. And again, buy the cheapest petroleum jelly you could find. Buy a bag of cotton balls. I like to stick them in these old pill containers, stuff them in there, and wipe it off because it does get very sticky. And you'll be good to go. So let's try these out and see how this works. Put it over on this side here. Nah, that wasn't even fair. It just lit right up. So you see this thing reliably throws really, really nice sparks. Okay, move on to the next from Tinder. Now, a quick word of caution. If you're going to be practicing this in your house, and this is a skill that you do need to practice. I know I make it look easy because I've been doing it for a while, but this is a skill that you do need to practice. I would suggest that you do it outdoors. I'm only doing it indoors here because, well, I have this nice old, we got this at a yard sale, Pizza Hut pizza pan. And I have a fire extinguisher nearby, as well as another one on the other side of the room. So should something happen, I'm ready for it. But it is a skill that you do need to practice, so make sure that you're practicing starting fires using a ferro rod. Of course, everybody wants to use a lighter, and lighters are great, but when they're wet, or they're damaged, or they don't work, or you're out of fuel, this will never fail you. So, next thing, I like dryer lint. I know some people don't like it as much. I just love using dryer lint. And if you have a cat, your dryer lint will be especially flammable and fuzzy. So let's try dryer lint out. I'm sure this is going to light up fairly quick. Yeah, that was almost, you see the gobs of sparks shooting off everywhere. That was almost too easy. So let's try something a bit more challenging. I'm going to try some jute twine that I fluffed up. Now jute twine you can buy in Walmart. It kind of looks like this. You can buy it almost anywhere. But I fluff up the ends a little bit. And we're going to try that out next. Alright. So, we got that fluffed out there. I don't know how well that's a fluff job. I kind of did it quickly, but let's see how well it works. That went right up. I thought that would actually be a little harder. And you see how well jute twine burns. So if you wanted to start a fire with this, very, very simple. Anyway, let's move on to the next item, and that'll be our final test. Alright, the last thing I like using is this kind of Maya dust that Black and White Fire Starter puts out. It's got all sorts of little fat wood dust in it, and little pieces of wood, little chunks of fat wood in it. This stuff is really, really good as a fire starter. So we're just going to plop some down there. It's almost like cotton, it's so finely shredded. And by the way, folks, if you haven't checked out on Etsy, Mr. Outdoorsy is his name. This stuff, Black and White Fire Starter, it's Mr. Outdoorsy. Check him out on Etsy. He has some amazing and extremely affordable fire starters, and they're very, very effective. So let's give this a try here. I'll put my ferro rod down in it. It barely got a chance to do anything. The thing lit right up. And you see, this stuff burns a little bit more consistent than, say, regular fatwood shavings. I'm not sure how he does that, but it does have a nice long burn time. Fatwood will tend to go up quick, and then it's up and on. This will burn for a while, so give you some chance to get a fire going in bad conditions. Definitely works well. Anyway, I am really, really impressed with the ferro rod, as you can tell. I'm going to take you over to the corner here really quick and show you some sparks this thing takes off with. And we're going to use the silverback knife to do that. I'm going to make it kind of darker so you can see the sparks coming off that ferro rod, and then we'll wrap up. Alright, it's not completely dark in here, but you'll be able to see the sparks that come off, and I have the Gorilla Survival silverback knife. You see what it shoots off. That's why I say I'm not worried about getting a fire started with this thing. It definitely does the job. Even some leftover on my blade. So let's wrap it up. Alright, so back here, letting you take a look at everything one last time. I am really impressed with their equipment so far, honestly. The knife, I absolutely love their knives. Both the Bloodline and the Silverback have been really, really nice knives for me. I've been using this a lot more now, as you can tell, because it's starting to get a little wear on it, and I really, really enjoy it. But the ferro rod is definitely a winner. You see, I barely even put a scratch in that ferro rod, and it's still ready to go for more fires. And you see the kind of sparks that thing throws off. I mean, there was just gobs of molten hot metal coming off that thing when I did it out there in the dark just a few minutes ago there. So definitely works well. I do like this. I do like the fact that you got that little extra ferro rod on there, and I assume that's to go with this. Like I said, the instructions here will show you how to tie the scraper on using that little extra ferro rod there. If you want to pause it and take a kind of look at it. Real simple to do. Definitely they make good gear, and I've been impressed with it so far. Now the price on this is $29.95, so it's $30 for the whole set. I don't believe you can buy just the ferro rod individually, but I will ask about that. But for the whole set, it makes an awesome gift. I mean, if you've got somebody that's just getting started in prepping, or even a well-seasoned somebody who's been doing this for a long time, into bushcraft, outdoors, prepping, survival, definitely a cool little thing to have. Now, the weight on it is not bad, but here's the deal. A lot of people will tell you, oh, that's too heavy. Why would I carry that in a bug-out bag or an emergency gear or anything? Well, let me tell you something. From my experience, I found that the bigger ferro rod like this, very, very easy to use. Now, of course, you can go over the top with Nathan's ferro rods, you know. But yeah, this is going to be heavy. That's a good in-between. You got a nice long distance here, 8 inches total, 3.5-inch handle. You got the whole rest of that to hang on with. Very comfortable in the hand. I like the way they designed this with the palm, you know, right there, and the finger grooves are perfect for my hand. So definitely a winning product. I definitely like this, and we'll be using this a lot more in the channel. And I want to thank you guys for watching. I will put the link down below where you can pick this up. It is on Amazon, and I will put the link down below for my Amazon affiliate store as well. There are 2 categories there now, so make sure you check both out. Don't forget to check out our Thrive Life link as well if you're interested in getting started in some freeze-dried food. I'm telling people around now that a good time to start looking at freeze-dried food is now. I think we're in for some interesting times come summer, and even if not, you know, I tell people that. I don't want to, you know, be Mr. Doom and, you know, fearmonger, but even if not, you have food ready for your next emergency or disaster. Being self-employed, I'll tell you straight up, I love having food stored. I don't have to worry. If something happens, if business crashes, if I lose a bunch of clients, I'm still good. I still got a way to feed myself. So, don't forget to check out those links as well as our Prepare with Iridium link. That is our Food for Patriots. That's preparewithiridium.com. Check them out down there. And I thank you for watching, folks. As always, stay safe and stay prepared.